Breaking NFL news, Colin Kaepernick set to work out with the Raiders this afternoon, confirmed by our Jonathan Jones and Josina Anderson. Jonathan Jones says that the workout hasn't happened yet, but will happen sometime this afternoon. And this will be the first workout for Colin Kaepernick since he last played in the NFL 6 years ago. Finished out the 2016 season, and then that was it. Led the 49ers to a Super Bowl appearance before losing to the Ravens. He was a great dual-threat quarterback for his first several years in the NFL, then tailed off 2015 and 2016. Of course, there was the kneeling and the subsequent fallout from the NFL in the years following. So let's bring in Jonathan Jones, who's been working this story for us. JJ, there's a lot to unpack here. Why are the Raiders the first one to offer him a workout in 6 years?
That's fascinating, right? And there was a couple of years ago, I believe 2018, there was a potential Seahawks workout that ultimately didn't go through. Pete Carroll had said, hey, I believe that this guy, Colin Kaepernick, is a starter in the NFL, has a place in the NFL. We've heard from many coaches, many general managers, many personnel folks over the years who have said that he has a place in the NFL, that he is talented enough. Plenty of his peers and players in the NFL. We haven't heard that as much in recent years. And Chris, you note, he hasn't played since the 2016 season. I think the last time he threw an actual NFL pass was like the first or second day of January 2017. So it has been a while. Typically, when you are out of the NFL for that long, no matter what the circumstances are, you typically are not returning to the NFL some 5+ years later. But here we are, Colin Kaepernick getting that opportunity with the Las Vegas Raiders, a team owner in Mark Davis who has very much, cared about diversity. You look at what his father, Al Davis, a big-time believer in the civil rights movement back in the 60s, hired Art Shell as the first black coach back in the 80s of the modern NFL. And so Mark Davis, also the owner of the Las Vegas Aces, a WNBA team. The Raiders are not without their faults, certainly as an organization, but they have cared a great deal about trying to do the right thing as it relates to women and minorities over the years. And so not a surprise when you're looking around the NFL, a team that's going to give Kaepernick his first workout, it being the Raiders. Though if you are surprised that he is getting his first workout in 5+ years, I would understand that.
So, JJ, when you look at the Raiders quarterback situation, obviously Derek Carr is the starter. They traded for Jarrett Stidham. They signed Nick Mullins. They've chased Garbers on the roster as well. In your mind, is this an opportunity for Colin Kaepernick to join the Raiders, or is it more of the Raiders saying, okay, we're going to give you a chance, other NFL teams look at this and maybe look at what Colin can do?
I think it can be both of those things, right? I think the Raiders are, number one, looking out for themselves. They're trying to make themselves be the best possible team in the most competitive division in football, that AFC West. And so if they can strengthen the backup quarterback position, and there's no question about it, Derek Carr should not be afraid for his job right now, certainly with the luxury of his recent contract extension. You understand that Marcus Mariota now in Atlanta, who had been that backup there the last couple of seasons. And so the Raiders are trying to make sure that they are well positioned at the most important position in all of sports. And yes, you mentioned they traded for Jarrett Stidham. They signed Nick Mullins. They had Garrett Gilbert, but once they traded for Stiddy, they decided to cut him loose there. You have a new head coach in Josh McDaniels, a new general manager in Dave Ziegler, that they're going to try to be competitive at every single position. And so if the Raiders are hoping to give Colin Kaepernick a little bit of a leg up to help him out with some of the other organizations, perhaps that's another piece of this. But, this isn't charity, in my opinion. This is very much the Raiders wanting to see what Colin Kaepernick has. He had those workouts that he sort of dotted across the country, mostly on the West Coast. And you heard high marks and good reviews from some of the current NFL players, some of the would-be NFL players that he trained with, who said, yeah, he still has an arm. We remember he worked out during halftime of the spring game there at the University of Michigan with his former coach Harbaugh. So It's up to the Raiders to decide, obviously, if he has what it takes to crack this roster, but a very low-risk move when you consider the football aspect of this for the Vegas Raiders.
All right, Jonathan Jones with us as the Raiders work out Colin Kaepernick. JJ reporting it's going to happen at some point this afternoon for the Raiders, who have 4 quarterbacks on their roster right now, but are going to be the first team in 6 years to give Colin Kaepernick a workout. This is the upcoming NFL schedule. Right now we're in the midst of OTAs, and then mid-June we get into the mandatory mini camps before training camp and the Hall of Fame game, and the season kicking off September the 8th. We're going to take a quick 60-second break. On the other side, we'll get the take from a former player, Brian McFadden, on the Raiders working out Colin Kaepernick.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.